Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and I'm really excited to bring you this interview with Paul and Sam from Paul's RibShack Barbecue in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Their location is about 3 hours from New Orleans and 2 hours from Houston. And I was looking on the map. If you went from Houston, you go through Beaumont, so you can hit 1701 Barbecue, and then go over to Lake Charles and go to their place, and you're going to want to visit. This just sounds like a spectacular location. They're really dialed in on the food, and we get into detail as to how this all came about. And it all came about really because of something called the Rib List, and Paul will get into that. And a quick aside, before we did this interview, Paul and Sam sent me a bunch of barbecue, turkey, beef ribs, brisket, and they packed everything, which is so smart, with frozen green beans, big bags of frozen green beans. So I had tons of green beans, lots of leftover. I was able to give some to some friends, so that's like kinship, and it really ties into what they're all about. Their food was fabulous, wonderful. Turkey was just killer. Everything was really great. The brisket, they really know what they're doing. And then now when you hear their story, you'll understand how they progress from just cooking for friends and for people and for church to getting a food truck, to getting their location and the hurricane that came through and how they dealt with that. It's super, super interesting story. But what's most important is that they're super, super passionate about barbecue. They're making their sausage from scratch, and they learned that from John Lewis, from Lewis Barbecue. They've also gone to Amy Mills and Mike Mills. Rest in peace, Mike. When he was alive, they went to their class, The Business of Barbecue, in Murfreesboro, Illinois. They even went to Whole Hog Extravaganza. It's hard to say. Their class too about whole hog, so they could do whole hog. But they have a number of pits. They have Jambo pits. They have a pit from Myra Mixon. They really care about what they're doing. They're trying to bring Central Texas style barbecue to Louisiana, but also having a Louisiana spin. And they talk about their menu in depth. And there's things on their menu that you wouldn't see at a Central Texas style barbecue place. I can't thank them enough for taking the time and for their positivity and kindness. And you could tell that what they do is really special, and they want to share that with the people in the area and the people that visit. And the Kevin's Barbecue Joints podcast and YouTube show is brought to you by Centex Smokers. You can check them out at Centex_smokers on Instagram. They're out of Luling, Texas. Michael Johnson's just doing killer stuff. Follow him on Instagram, check him out, give him a DM. I used to say it's 4 to 5 months when we just first started our partnership, and now he's out to 12 to 14 months. So if you want to get a pit, better get your order in quickly. Again, that's Centex_smokers on Instagram. And I'm super honored to have Flores Tortillas as a second sponsor of the show. You can check them out at florestortillas.com. Michael Wyant used to have Flores Barbecue. Now he's doing tortillas made with smoked beef tallow. They are incredible. I've sent them to dozens of people, and now I'm honored to have him as a sponsor of the show. You have to check them out. Follow him, and then the drops are usually at 10 a.m. Texas time, Central time. Get your order in quickly because they sell out really fast. But you can also get them at a number of locations in Texas. At Dozier's Barbecue, CM Smokehouse in Austin. In Waco, you can go to Guest Barbecue as well as Helleberg. A number of spots, and I'll put a link below to that. I have an article about where you can find the stuff. But again, Flores Tortillas, I'm super excited to have them on board. You have to check them out. You will be amazed at how great those tortillas are. Oh, and a quick aside, if you do get them delivered to you, make sure you put them in the refrigerator because they're made with no preservatives, no additives, so you have to make sure that they are refrigerated. And if you're enjoying these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. Hit the bell notification because I'm doing 2 to 3 of these per week. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. I have something really, really big. I've been kind of promoting it, but it's coming out really soon. It's going to be amazing. I think you're really going to love it. But at the end, stay safe and enjoy this with Paul and Sam. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Doing
man.
great. Doing so good.
What's a usual day like for you? Like today is Thursday. So what would Thursday be like usually for you guys?
Well, man, it's always hectic, but we got a great rhythm. I mean, Sam, tell us about a Thursday at the
Yeah, what's a Thursday like, Sam? And nice to meet you, Sam.
Nice to meet you. I think Thursdays we get here and start the fires about 5 a.m. and we open usually around 11, but between 5 and 11 we're prepping, taking meat off, getting ready for service, and then we'll usually have a big lunch rush. We got a lot of workers here, so they really come right at 11, line up at the door, which is always fun. And
it's a great feeling because I worked at a barbecue place, and it's a great feeling, but it's also, it adds that tension a little bit in the background. Yes.
You really get hyped up. You're like, oh, these people, they're ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And get ready for dinner. And we usually have, I think in the spring we're having music every night. So we got musicians or some event
Friends
going on.
trivia tonight,
Yeah,
so
we're
you
doing
may want to
Friends
drive
trivia.
over.
Yeah.
We have
I'll see.
100
If
comments
I
on the
start
Friends
right now,
trivia.
Friends trivia, is that different than like a regular? What kind of? I mean, or just bring your like Friends trivia. Like I would have a friend with me on my team,
Well,
or
like
is
the TV show. So we've
oh
done
the
different
TV show?
trivia nights for TV shows. Yeah, sorry.
The old, gosh, I think I'd win. I think I'd do pretty well.
I'm sure.
My mind is a little foggy, but I think I.
Who
Well,
wouldn't
no,
do well?
let's kind of take a step back. Well, first off, what's Lake Charles like, and then so people can kind of set the scene as what Lake Charles is like.
Lake Charles is about 80,000 people in the city proper, about 200,000 in the county. We call them parishes because everything's weird in Louisiana. About
Which is awesome.
200,000. We've got a big kind of industrial processing center, local university. It's kind of a sportsman's paradise, hunting, fishing, all that fun stuff. It's my hometown, Sam's too. Well, all the adjoining little towns. And it's great, man. We love it here. It is hot and humid, however.
Yeah. So the humidity, yeah, I'm used to hot. Hot is we have like 6 or 7, days a year that it's cold here in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
but we don't have that humidity. So it made sense to open a place there in Lake Charles because this is your home.
This is home, yeah. Absolutely.
Are you getting a lot of people that come in? Are they coming in from outside, or is it mostly local, or is your weekday business more local and then travelers on the weekend?
Well, we have some traveling traffic. There's 2 big casinos that are kind of destinations about 2 miles away. And then now we have a lot of people in from all over the world. Actually, we met people from Canada, from Australia, who are here doing either construction work or recovery specific construction work. And we found that we get groups that come every week. This is their home away from home. They'll have their kind of squad encouragement time, and it's been really fun to meet people from all over.
Well, it's funny how communal barbecue becomes, and how not the number one, breaking bread in general, eating, but barbecue, and especially your location, that outdoor setting. I know you have indoor seating, but your outdoor seating looks spectacular.
Yeah, it's super fun. We love the backyard.
So you were saying, Sam, that you have live music every night. I thought it was just weekends for a while, and then it goes to every night during the summer, kind of, or as we get in the summer.
Yeah, it was weekends for a little while because honestly, the weather here is a little unpredictable. So when it's cold, there's not going to be a whole lot of people sitting outside, and that's really the only space we have for music is outside. And so we just have weekends for a little while, but spring's so great here, and the weather's so nice. We're like, we need to have music every night.
That's so nice. How great is that?
It also helps our musicians, since they've been kind of
right
really affected by COVID, and a lot of the musicians are friends of mine, so we really want to
we had musicians play on the front porch, so we kept all our gigs and kept them playing and gigging when we did takeout only, so they would play for everyone in their cars last year.
That makes me feel so good. That's so nice. And people don't realize all the different nuanced business, all the businesses that were affected. And I know that there's some people, I think Van Morrison in Europe he's upset because of live music, and he has his opinions, whatever you want to believe, but it does affect that. The live music is where a lot of artists make their money. That's
sure.
Because of streaming, I don't think they make as much as they used to in the old days. If you'd sell a bunch of CDs, you'd be one of the richest people on the planet. So Paul, how did you start this business? And it was what's the hashtag rib? Was it a rib line rib list?
The rib list, yeah. Well, 2012, my kids and I went to one of the roadhouses, and they ate a rack of ribs and talked about how fun it was. And then I had a college group that I led, and one of the guys in there talked about cooking ribs. And so I had a Saturday, pretty random, that I didn't have a lot to do, and I texted him, "What's your rib recipe?" "Oh, top secret, don't tell anybody." And I went to the store and picked up whatever he said, and had a charcoal grill right on the yard, and I cooked a rack of ribs. And then pretty soon thereafter, I discovered how much dudes like talking about barbecue. And
they do.
I was at somewhere. I'm go all over, and I was chatting with him, and I said, "Well, look, I have room for 2 racks on my pit, so give me your number, and the next time I'm cooking, I'll let you know, and you can come pick it up and try it out." And again, this wasn't every weekend at that time. It was just get started, just playing.
Yeah.
And so I made a list on my phone. I called it the Rib List. And then after a little while, it kind of picked up steam. And I like making friends. I happen to love Jesus. I love sharing that. But, we're going to be friends either way. I mean, low and slow, just like barbecue, right? We're just going to get and hang out and
barbecue is religion too. It is.
Yeah, it can be for sure. So after a while, I just started doing a little bit more, and I invite people over, and then I cooked for this family and youth counseling agency. It's a group that does several programs in town, and I was on the board, and I volunteered to cook for the board meeting, which is at 11 a.m. And there's about 30 people in the room, staff and volunteers, and I'd never cooked for 30 people, and I'd surely never cooked to be ready at 11 a.m. And we used a Weber Smoky Mountain at that time, and I cooked. I thought the ribs were, the ones on the top rack were pretty done. The ones on the bottom rack, not very done. And for the next several meetings, that's, the pre-meeting where you're chit-chatting, that's all people wanted to talk about. And they're like, man, that was really cool. And so that just kind of kept us getting encouraged.
That's so interesting.
Sam joined in and helped me as these projects got bigger, and then we learned together. It was
so Sam's fun. You've been there since the early days. Yeah,
absolutely.
How in your opinion, how were those ribs at the beginning?
How were the ribs at the beginning? Memories are hard to remember. They were great. Yeah. I don't know.
I just read, I'm reading Travels with Charlie, which is Steinbeck, and he travels with his dog across the country. And there's a line about memories, about something about the red. I wish I remembered that right now. I just read it last night. I'm like, oh, there's a great line about how memories are. You definitely can shape your memories.
Food's an emotional experience, or any gathering. So people tell me they've been to a certain Texas barbecue joint 20 years ago and they remember that, and I just thumbs up. But go back and test, right? Because but they were great. I mean, they were.
Yeah, you really remember how it made you feel, not necessarily how it tasted or anything. I mean, for me, barbecue was, if it's burnt, it's done, and so we'd rather have it done than, that's how, my dad my dad and parents, that's how we'd barbecue, is we'd pretty much burn it, and which I loved. I mean, it just reminded me of, being outside with mom and dad, and,
such a great memory.
Getting to cook outside is just, it's different. And so it was, there's a lot of good memories, but so I do remember those ribs being better than that. And so to me, they were good, and they were better than the bar. I thought I hated barbecue for the longest time because I'd go to some local barbecue restaurants, and I just didn't like it. And then we started doing, I'm like, oh, this is different. This is great. So that's really what I remember about those first days. And also just, spending all day smoking ribs, like, you're going to have pride in it. And so I just remember those being very good. I'm not sure if it's because they were actually good. I think probably what we do now is better.
You always improve, but it's also that kinship and being with a friend, like doing things, doing a project like that together, especially food related, is a lot of fun. Did you guys at that beginning stages think there might be a restaurant coming someday, or how did you get from doing that to a restaurant?
Well, I was a banker for 16 years, a commercial banker.
Okay.
And if you want to turn a large fortune into a small one, I recommend restaurants. That's a terrific vehicle to do that. And I have a couple stories about, as a banker, you can't tell the borrower what to do, right? It's their life, but you can kind of lead them, like, are you sure? Have you thought this through? Do you have a plan? So we just did our thing in the driveway, right? We started cooking and sharing with a few people, then a few more. Then we cooked for this little gig and that little gig and this ministry project and that one. And it got bigger, and we started borrowing equipment. And Sam became really faithful, we got it all together. And then we decided to buy this food truck, really just because I got tired of borrowing all that equipment. And then we could say yes to any charity gig we wanted. People would call, or we would want to help, with this or that. And man, we don't have the stuff. It's just it'd take 3 days to go do a one day to go pick everything up, do the event, and then bring it all back.
It wasn't just ribs. It was other, right? You were starting to add
we took a little step. It was AmazingRibs.com. That was probably the place I learned the most. Meathead's website.
Meathead,
yeah, and we would cook ribs first. That's just the easiest thing. And then we cooked pork butts a few. And then we took us a year to cook brisket. You go to the store and you pick them out. And then I figured out, I called a friend who owns a local grocery supply company. I said, I need good briskets. I don't need maybe the best, but I need good briskets. And they were black 1855, the black boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's still some in my garage. I can see the date stamps. It was 2015. And we go buy cases of their upper 2/3 choice and 1855s, and they were great. And it took us a year. I think one of my timeline picks is our first brisket, which I actually tore in half. I had cooked brisket for our college group before. trim it and put it in the oven for 20 hours at 200 degrees. And it was good. It was fine. So we learned that, and it took a year to really press in and learn brisket. And I had a whole I kept them like tombstones. We try to open them carefully. Now I store stuff in them, man. And then we would learn next. The year we did beef ribs, you can't buy them. You can get the little shorties at Sam's Club once in a while where they cut them. And so I had to buy a $900 case of beef ribs. And again, we never sold one thing and didn't want to sell anything. This was all fun and ministry. We bought this big old case of beef ribs, and you remember how great they were? Oh, we would cut them individually most of the time, and they're just spectacular. But
was this around 2016, 2017, around then? Or?
Probably
time 16, is it?
Time is 16. We did the first beef ribs, maybe early 17. Yeah, 16 probably.
This is off the food truck.
Then the thought was we do the food truck, and then really we went to a ministry conference in Dallas, and we ate at Lockhart Smokehouse in Oak Cliff, and that was the first good barbecue joint I'd ever been to. I can't remember one. I mean, we would just go to whatever, you stop somewhere, no big deal, and we kind of all of a sudden got a wind of how big a deal this Texas style barbecue was. I hadn't thought about it. And again, we didn't know. I mean, it was great. And I thought, hey man, and the whole meal was good. I guess I thought, man, this is really nice. And as we kind of opened the door of seeing how big a deal the Texas barbecue scene was, I got a little encouragement. Maybe there's a commercial play in here that's not just pushing a rock uphill. A lot of restaurants, Louisiana does not have a barbecue identity. We do pork steaks, we do oven-baked chicken with barbecue sauce, and now the couchon de lait is a cool Cajun tradition. Dig a hole, cook a pig. We didn't know all that. So anyway, that kind of gave me some encouragement to think maybe there's a commercial play in here, and we just kept being faithful to what we had in front of us, and then we did the next thing.
What were you cooking off of in the truck? Did you have a trailer behind the truck, or how did you?
No. I have. There's a cool pic. We had the day of the stick burner. So we went from the Weber Smoky Mountains. So we had 3 of those at one point, and that's what we were cooking on. And then we need to try to offset. So I drove to Houston. I have a picture of us at Buc-ee's for every Texas trip. I think we've picked up 9 pits from Texas and we stopped at Buc-ee's and take a selfie. I bought Little Tex, which is a little barrel offset, probably a 30-inch, 24-inch pipe. And we cooked on that, and we cooked for David Crowder on that. I have a picture with 2 Weber Smoky Mountains and Little Tex on this trailer.
I think I saw that photo.
And then I bought this big vault cooker. I was trying to think, how can you sleep at night? Everyone's trying to solve that puzzle. So I bought this big homemade vault cooker with a gravity fed. It had a 16-inch grate, big old box.
Yeah. And
we cooked on that. And then we said, which one's better? So we kind of learned early on, change one thing at a time, test, evaluate. So I became pretty adept at how to set a Weber Smoky Mountain. And I didn't really enjoy the mods, all the fans and all that. Now let's just set them and work it. And we figured out how to run that. A cleaner fire changed everything way back when. The first ribs we cooked, there was no smoke ring. And I only noticed later, because I never took a picture of a profile. I would just take the picture of the bark, because the profile was all gray. No smoke ring. Well, you run a dirty fire, and we didn't know any of that.
It takes time to figure that out. Yes.
Yeah. So we had the day of the stick burner. We cooked, 10 briskets, 5 on my Jambo, or maybe it was Little Tex. I don't remember. Probably a Jambo, and then 5 on the big gravity fed pit. Invited 25 people over. Everybody loved everything, but the stick burner got 100% of the first place votes. So that's the day we decided to stick with the stick burner. So
that was a Jambo, that stick burner?
We had a Jambo, yeah, which is in my driveway. And then we bought...
Jambos are good.
Jambos are
great, man.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Amazing bar.
Jamie, rather.
It's phenomenal.
It's great. So then on the trailer, we were on a quest to figure out what's the most food that we can cook on an 8.5 foot wide trailer. It's a long kitchen in the front and a deck on the back. An offset, you lose a lot of room with the firebox. So we bought a Myron Mix-In, which is a stick burner with a water pan in the center. So the water pan's your heat shield. Water never gets above 212 degrees. So you can put a lot of food on there. So we fed a lot of people out of that. We actually did 1,000-person gig off
with the Myron Mix-In one. Wow. You're the first person I've talked to that's actually used the Myron Mix-In. I know a lot of people have them, but
yeah,
you've had a lot.
They're good.
Wow,
I like them a lot. They really keep moisture well. They're super insulated, so it's really good for a trailer. I mean, we cooked quite a bit of food. I mean, yeah, we did the 1,000-person gig. That was 49 pork butts.
Wow.
1,000 pieces of chicken. And so that's just, I think, 2 rounds of pork butts.
No sleep.
Boy, that's a very key ingredient generally.
Yeah. And that took us like 5 days to pull off that one event with just the two of us, because all the days of prep, and then just getting there at 5 a.m. every day and putting stuff on. And he slept on the truck, and I went home, and he put on the first round of chicken, and then I think we had 3 rounds total, and then took the rig all the way to the city next to us, because that's where the gig was. And then we spent all that morning, all that afternoon, pulling butts, taking chicken off. And then in 30 minutes, we boxed 1,000. We had some friends for this part.
You would hope so. I'm like,
some of his employees from his other business, and some of our friends were like, we need all of you here to help us with this. And so we boxed them in 30 minutes, and we were just running to get stuff off the truck to whatever people needed, but it was hectic. And I think we slept for a while after that gig.
Yeah, no, was this for a charity gig or for a church?
That was a paid gig. It was a first. Okay. I wanted to prove that we could do it. We bought a Grill Meister and cooked 225 ribeyes for a friend 4 hours away. Can we do it? So we did this big 1,000-person gig, and I'm like, well, can we do it? Catering's a big deal. And so we just wanted to prove up, and we were willing to pay the price. It was a tough couple of days, but it was great.
Were you still doing the banking, and were you doing something else too, or were you guys all in at that time?
I bought some laundromats, and that was my vehicle to quit my day job, be able to do ministry stuff with half my life and make a living with the other half. So
gotcha.
And then the barbecue just became our friend-making adventure, and then we bought the food truck, and we launched that in 2017.
I was going to say, I met him quite a few years after he had already bought the laundries and quit banking. And so I was working at Laundry World with him, and doing a lot of at that point, I think I was doing a lot of marketing and selling to hotels around us, but also some of the logistical stuff of, running to go get, supplies and stuff like that.
We still do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is a laundry component still there?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've always heard, what's funny is that I've always heard that that's such a great business if you're savvy and you know what you're doing, and you were dealing with commercial banking, so you probably saw it from a different angle too.
I didn't have any laundry clients, but I did learn a lot about small business. My dad was an entrepreneur, and it's fun. But there's lots of ways everything's hard work.
Everything is.
I haven't found any of these paycheck businesses where you just get mailbox money.
Fill envelopes to make money at home.
Those are the people who never lose at the casino. All the people with mailbox money.
Yeah, it's like I was watching Kitchen Nightmares or something, and this guy, his restaurant was failing, and he was like, I just thought if I could hire the right staff, it would basically run itself. And I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me?
He is that. Like,
I was like, I don't know who lied to you.
Isn't that one of those bless your heart kind of moments, like where you're
I'm like, man, I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, well, it's working in restaurants. I realized working in a restaurant is one of the hardest things you can do, because the hours, the time, the coordination, the staff, and there's a lot of moving parts when you have a restaurant. Well, then how do you go from that to the restaurant, and then when does Mother Nature get involved with this whole?
We went to this charity gig. A church hired us to cook at this park, Sitco Park. And we went over there, brought the rig. We cooked all day. We'd show up for those kind of gigs. We would show up about, 5 a.m. Or maybe it was an evening gig. Yeah. So we cooked all day, and it has this ring of trees, and we were in the shade all day. And then the guests came, and they all ate in the shade in the center. And when we left there, and I talking to Sam, like, we were toying with the idea of a restaurant. There was like a cheap place that we were looking at. It would have been cool. And I said, trees. Those trees wasn't that great? Brother. So I'm from here, right? Banker. You think you know everything, every part. It's not that big of a city. It's not Houston. It's not Los Angeles. And I said, no. There's a hidden gem somewhere. And I started praying, and I would carve out 30 minutes several times a week. And I literally canvassed blocks. There's a hidden gem somewhere, right? There's 2 houses we can buy, tear one down or something. And about 6 weeks in, I came to this site, and I stood in the backyard under these oaks, and I talked to the gentleman, and it was in August, and it was 2 p.m. And after about 30 minutes, I noticed after we finished, I thought, I haven't thought about air conditioning this whole time. Now that's a miracle in Louisiana. It's hot, humid. And so anyway, we pursued that, and this worked out. It's on a terrific road, right? 3 miles south of the casinos, kind of on a real main drag. and there's this backyard where the trees are, and you can kind of, I don't know if we turn the gain down. Maybe you can hear the road noise, but I could
hear a bird. What was that? There was a bird, right? At one point I was hearing.
Yeah, there's a bird. Sam's dog, Barbecue. You should follow him on Instagram. Q the barbecue dog. Barked a minute ago, but I could just picture we could be back here and put the pit room behind us, kind of make a shield, and people could kind of forget where they are, and the trees are majestic.
It looks idyllic. It doesn't look like, look, I thought you were way off. Off the beat.
There's a big Kroger right there, big brand new Kroger shopping center, and there's a 5-lane thoroughfare right out the front door, and we have limestone parking lot. It looks rustic. There's a house on piers, and I put lights all in the trees. And when I was putting the lights up, I listened to barbecue podcasts. So I listened to 50 of yours, maybe more. I listened to Restaurant Unstoppable. I'd never worked in a restaurant, not one day, and so we just secured the place and started the plans, and the renovation was so much work. I mean, 6 months of hard construction. I'd say 80 to 110 hours a week, every week, and we made it happen. Imagine. And the truck was out front. We parked the truck out front and sold food 2 days a week for the year that it took us to get ready.
That makes sense. That's a smart idea.
Yeah, when I started doing the majority or the heavy lifting of the barbecue, especially with the truck, I think I'd work 75 to 80-hour weeks for a couple of years especially when we had the truck. I mean, it was hot in that truck, but it's
it's hot without the weather. It's hot in that truck.
Yeah, it's a trial by fire in that truck. I think that they complain when our kitchen gets hot now in the summer, and I'm like, well, we can go in the truck. We can do that, but no,
we just do it. We push ahead and find a way.
So it's just me for a while. So I'd listen to your barbecue podcast. I'd listen to a bunch of others. And I mean, I think we just got really obsessed, really obsessed with everything barbecue.
And how to make it the best. We kept learning, what can we do to make it better? We don't cut one corner. We don't buy anything because it's cheaper. And if two things are equally good, we'll buy what's cheaper. But we want to make it the best we know how. And we're always learning. And the fact that now we do the 4 days a week so that the crew can have one crew to lead the charge. And you really know where the tip of the spear is, right? Because you do the same thing. Sam's in charge of all that. He's cooked food for all the public events we've ever done. I'm the helper. And because I've got other fish to fry, you can't do everything. You can't.
And it's smart not to do everything. Like if you
design a building and build it and manage all those things and make a living and get the capital to do all this stuff and be here cooking, every day. So I would not have done it if it weren't for Sam. And
so it's like that's the
for sure.
That's the glue. You guys are the glue.
Sam's great, and he gets embarrassed, so I'll brag on him some. And
so Sam, did you? So I was lucky enough to have received some amazing barbecue from you guys. Sam, did you cook that barbecue? Those I want to talk about your
crew.
food.
I mean, like, it's not just me anymore.
I know it can't be
great crew and
great
stuff.
Crew. 2 thumbs up on our crew.
But how do you have you have 9 pits?
We have
not here.
We have 3 big pits here. So we've got the 2,000-gallon Austin Smokeworks and a big brother to the trailer pit we had, which is a Myron Mixon 1K they call it.
Okay,
that's what's on site. And we have other pits that we use as needed.
Like for events.
I've got our pit little techs at my house. My buddy Andrew, he's got one of the Weber Smoky Mountains at his. I think Silas has a Weber Smoky Mountain at his, and the rest are Paul's house or distributed. We have another 1,000-gallon that's on a trailer that we bought during the hurricane
for the hurricane,
so that we could cook. And for our neighbors at this place called Nina P's, we had all set up. We had food donated, and we had a bunch of our friends who came and cooked with us. But we have that one. We've got a 500-gallon that we bought off of. He was a pit master at Truth in Houston, and then he moved to Franklin's. And it's got that. I really like that pit.
Jimbo's great. We love Jimbo and Biggin.
Oh yeah,
at Austin Smokeworks. We have the first red barbecue pits that I've ever seen. I'm not saying they're the first. I just hadn't seen him. So we made the pit room part of the food entertainment, right? The low walls.
It's so beautiful. It looks gorgeous in the background.
I put these screens that I can take down and wash. You can see there's some patches where they've melted them a little bit. And
there is that one right behind your corner.
yeah.
But I mean, like, all of our barbecue pits, we didn't just buy them indiscriminately. It seems like each barbecue pit that we've bought represents a season or time in our
For
barbecue learning or the restaurant, or, you know, we've got a pit to mark the hurricane. You know, we've got 3 pits to mark the opening of the restaurant. We got a pit for the truck. And then our, like the gravity fed he was talking about, that's a pit that we, you know, really were able to sleep. You know, so
They'll
that
give you that, yeah, like, and you've learned off of,
Yeah.
and each pit has its own nuance, like every pit, to learn what
Yeah.
works, what doesn't, what position you put the meats with
Yeah.
but also too, with were those pits there during, and what hurricane was it that came through and caused all the havoc? Because it seems like there's more and more.
We had the unwelcome guest of Hurricane Laura. I think on August the 27th, she landed, and 150 mile an hour winds plus little tornadic activity inside of that. And we had a hurricane 17 years ago, Hurricane Rita, which had about 130 mile an hour winds. And it blew over we hadn't had a big hurricane in 60 years. So it blew over the trees that were more susceptible. And this storm was bigger, and it did more damage, more building damage, not just trees that fell into things, but buildings that blew apart. One of my laundromats went flat to the ground, completely destroyed.
Was it slower and it kind of sat longer?
It just was vicious, 150 mile an hour winds plus the little tornadic activity inside of that.
Yeah. That's a 5. That's a 5, right? Wouldn't that be a 5?
It was 5 miles an hour from being. It was a 5 out in the Gulf, but it landed as a 4. We've had several 5s over the years, and then they approach the land, and
lose speed.
Something disrupts them, and they land softer. Now, if you're in a low-lying area, meaning you're going to get water up, it doesn't matter how big the winds are, right? But inland, we're about 35 miles inland. So Hurricane Laura came in, everyone evacuated. I was going to stay, and then left right at the last minute, and it was really terrible. So it destroyed lots of buildings and disrupted everybody. And
did it destroy any of your buildings themselves too? Like
the barbecue joint was spared. God provided for us. We lost one of the big pretty limbs in the backyard, none of the ones that the guests sit under, and we lost some roofing in the front of the building that flopped over, but nothing bad here. And my other business had some pretty significant damage, and everyone in town was affected. So it's not like some home, even if your home was okay, the rest of your life's affected. There's no power. There's no,
of course.
There's no business, no employees. No one has something in your life.
Access is difficult. Everything is. Yeah, I lived through the Northridge earthquake, which did tons of damage. I was living with my parents way back when, but that we were without power for 8 days, I think, and it's amazing how disruptive that is. You don't think about it, and obviously Texas went through some weather issues this year, which were traumatic. But now, how at that time, then, so you said you were feeding people locally. How long did it take to reopen the restaurant?
We came back. I came back the next day. I couldn't make it all the way to town, but I got here the day after that. And then I think 3 or 4 days in, there was another group. 2 guys started a place to commute. So at a hurricane, the ground's level, right? No one has power. So the person, the physician, surgeon, and the minimum wage person, they're kind of all, can't cook, can't. So we prep for that. We stage generators everywhere. We have coolers full of food, coolers full of frozen food. And we knew you're not gonna be able to get stuff, right, for weeks. So we staged generators and left them running. And then so all the food was safe. We left them running when the storm, before we landed, we turn the power on and our generators on, and they'll last about 12 hours. I had other people in town who were going to stay to come put gas in them. And we started cooking at this restaurant about half a mile from here, Laura plus 5, I think, Monday following the storm, something like that. They had started the day before, maybe 2 days before, and I pulled in and I brought Lucille, our black 500-gallon, also Smokeworks pit. And then Sam was able to come back. He was taking care of his mom and his sister. And he was able to come back a couple of days later, and he and I launched out. And then another guy named Chris, who just showed up in my yard here. He's from Orange, and he says, "Man, I see you guys on Facebook and stuff. Is there anything I could do to help you?" I'm like, "Sure." So Chris was our hand on the first few days. He drove over, and it was great. Now he's coming to help us learn barbecue here too. So
that's nice. How nice is that?
That's our start. And then this guy called me. He knew me. He was a police officer, did security for Popeyes, and he says, "Man, the local Popeyes, the freezers are at their last day. Stuff's still frozen. Do you want this food?" So at 9:30 at night, I called whoever was in town, and we loaded 5 pickup truck beds full of frozen chicken tenders and stuff from Popeyes. And they had a reefer trailer parked at that Nina P's, and it took us 2 weeks to cook all that. It was a lot.
Wow, what an interesting, like, no one, yeah, because I've never been through that kind of situation, but you're being savvy and doing it whatever you can, scrappy, and that's
so other people would donate food, and we had this full-size trailer, which was chaos just to store everything in this. No one's in charge, right? There's 10 people there helping at this kitchen, feeding site, and it was crazy. And then Sam came back, and he led the charge at Nina P's. He came back a few days after that. And
I was gonna say those days were kind of hectic. Like we had gone to Dallas with my mom and my sister, and my sister has cerebral palsy, so I really needed to be with them and help them out.
That's so nice.
And so we took all our dogs, went to hotels in Dallas, and about, I think the day after the storm, like, we need to be closer so we can start taking care of stuff. And so we moved them all to Houston. I remember some days I'd have to drive in because I'd have to go back after I cooked back to Houston. And sometimes I stayed in his house and with generators and stuff. But so I'd drive back to Houston. And when I drive in the morning, it took about 3 to 4 hours to drive in from Houston,
Terrible.
Which it's normally a 2-hour drive. And but the road is lined with electric trucks trying to get into, everybody stayed in Orange or Beaumont, and it would just took forever. Everybody's trying to get in to help and, get in to see their houses and the damage. And so I'd get in about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. We'd start up the pits, put the food on, and thank goodness it was just chicken strips. It wasn't like we were doing briskets and we had to, stay there and do that. But it was chicken. We cook a lot of it, and I think we fed maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people a day. It was a lot. And then after we got done with that, we would leave, go fill up all the gas cans, go fill up all the generators, and then
5 buildings that had either coolers or fans to blow things out, or my house. And it was work. I think I sent you a picture of the back of my truck with all the gas cans. That's normal as rain. We were, and you had to improvise. The first week you'd have to drive somewhere to get gas, and then 1 or 2 places would open, so you wait your hour to turn and fill up 20 gas cans, so you'd have enough for 3 or 4 days.
I was going to say, because a lot of places probably ran out or they weren't able to.
We didn't. No one had power for 2 weeks, and a few places would start to run a generator, like the Kroger next door. I think they ran their gas station off a generator, and they were, I'd have to remember, but
2 weeks is a long time without power.
And a lot of the area was 6 weeks, so 2 weeks to 6 weeks to get major power restoration.
Were you guys delivering food to people, or were people picking up food for multiple?
Oh, they were coming.
They would.
We would cook, and then about 11 o'clock we would start allowing people in, and there's just be this huge line of people for hours, and we're just running around. We had our friends from this Greek and Lebanese restaurant. He came and he ran his
that's nice.
His little shawarma pit off of gas or generator or something like that. And we had some other friends who were barbecue people around here, Mr. Tommy Senegal. So that I really like that, because we got to meet and know. Sometimes we get caught up here and we don't get to know some of our barbecue friends who barbecue around us. It's a unique time where just hurricanes or natural disasters, where everything in your life stops because it's destroyed or something, and it forces you to get to know your neighbors better and serve them well, and everybody's either fixing their house or fixing their neighbor's house. And so it was really community building. I hate hurricanes. I think I've been through 3 or 4 of them. The result of
the byproduct
of that is a stronger community. I think we get to see what we're really made of. That's
and that's important. And it's also too, I think that it shows when people are down or negative about other people or humans in general. I think it shows the humanity, and that people, they do band together, and there are so many good souls and so many good people that want to help. And it creates a bond that's different than if you just your everyday life. And it's also a test. Like, it's something that you have to go through. These things are, it's what makes you who you are.
Absolutely.
What year was that?
That was August, so 8 months ago.
8 months ago.
So
Oh.
we,
It, you know, it doesn't even feel like it just, it could have been 4 years ago. It could have been 3 months. It just time has been so weird with this, with pandemic, but so 8 months ago, then when did you guys reopen?
We opened up the Friday 2 weeks after. We had a plan to open without power. You know, the crew would get hot. I had enough generator to run one portable AC in the kitchen, which really made war with the coolers that are in the kitchen. So it's hot. And, but we really just wanted a place that felt like rest. You know, the backyard didn't get a lot of damage, so we kind of cleaned it up some. And we really just wanted to be able to be a part of people's origin story of a little breather, a little respite in the middle of all that chaos. It felt like I haven't been in the military. I have such great respect for them, but I lived out of my truck, right? You have everything you need. You have food, clothes, water, tools, supplies, and you know, my home was okay. We were able to sleep there, but I did sleep in my truck a few times, and you lived out of it. And everyone's like that. You're in total push mode. And we thought, what we need, if we can, let's make a spot in the backyard for people to, you know, have a moment and feel a little bit of rest. And plus, that's really, they're going to attach to us. Like we were able to do that, and that would be great for us to provide that. And then that morning, we were one of the first places to get power back. So we had a plan. We're opening tonight. We're going to cook ribeyes because we didn't have time, obviously, to come cook brisket, start the day before. And that Friday, 2 weeks after. So and then we didn't have a lot of crew. We had 3 or 4 of us, but enough to run a partial day. I think it was 3 to 7. I think I have a picture. We take a lot of selfies, a lot of pictures. So I had a picture of the signboard that day, which was 9/11.
I love that. I love,
September 11th.
Oh yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. That's and I'll have a montage. I might even make a separate video with photos and kind of some more like chunks of this interview. This kind of, I think it would be nice for people to see because you really documented it really well. It's important, and it's so then let's talk about your menu. Let's talk about your place. Let's give people some insight into what you do, because it's unique to Louisiana.
Yeah, we do Texas style barbecue with Louisiana flair.
Yes,
that's what we call it. So Texas style, so dry rubs, prime brisket, everything here is wood smoked. All the sides are smoked on the cooker, on the smokers. Well, virtually. There's a couple things like jambalaya pot. We cooked the cornmeal shoe, and we stumbled into doing Texas style barbecue. We didn't know that's what it was. Again, we were pretty far along, and
yeah, we weren't like some of our other friends in Texas who have barbecue places where they went to one of the top 100 places and said, I want to do that. You know, we were just like, we want to barbecue, and, you know, or he wanted to do ribs for Saints games or something like that. And, and then, and so we didn't necessarily know that this was Texas barbecue. We just knew this is what, you know, we were reading online and doing. And I mean, I think it was quite a few years before we ever went to our first Texas barbecue joint, which was Lockhart in Dallas. And then we went to Pecan Lodge in Deep Ellum. And it was one day after another. And I'm like, all right, all my trips from here on out are going to be to go to Texas top 100 barbecues and see what they're doing. And so
we've made most of the top 50.
Most of my trips out of town have been to, it's not vacationing to, out of the country or anything. I'm going to Texas to try these barbecue places and see what they're doing.
And that's important too. It's great. And it's fun. That's a fun trip.
Yeah. Me and pretty early on when we were just me and my buddy Colin, who helps us sometimes, we were kind of getting obsessed with barbecue. And so we made a Friday trip to Austin, and we just wanted to go see what Franklin's was all about. And we stood in that line. It was so much fun. And, got there about 6 a.m. and met Aaron, met all the people, and talked a little bit about how we were going to possibly start a truck and do all this. And then about a year later, we hit in one day, we hit every single Houston barbecue place that was on the top 100.
Wow.
And it was painful. We realized about four barbecue joints in that we made a mistake, and we should have split this up, but I think we hit, at that point it was only like 7, so we hit 7 of them. And but it was a lot of fun. And
was that like Tejas and Corkscrew, like those
yeah, Tejas, Corkscrew, there was Pinkertons. We went Killins,
yeah,
yep, in Pearland. And I don't think Truth was there yet. The Pit Room, first time going there, it was great. But we
So great.
but it was, I mean, it's just a lot of fun being able to do that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to I did a trip. I think I did 5 places, and then I was tweeting. I was writing Daniel. I was like, "How do you do this?" And he's like, "You're doing this yourself." Like I was trying to eat everything too. I was like, "Oh, this is it's foolish," but it was.
So we, Louis Miller and all the cool places. Go to Lockhart. Go to City Market in Luling, and we get so enamored talking about barbecue on our trips back. We've run out of gas twice after stopping at City Market. We stop at the convenience store, get something to drink, don't gas up, driving home, and
yeah.
So we do every day. We do brisket, ribs, turkey, pulled pork, half chickens, beef ribs. Who that right there?
Yeah.
Yes. Those beef ribs and that
sausage.
Turkey is phenomenal. What did you called it? Something special, like the turkey? Because the turkey.
We want to start a turkey revolution, right?
Turkey
People
revolution.
think turkey. You can see them shrug like, "Oh, you're out of the good stuff." No.
No.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things. And I was when I saw turkey, I'm like, he knows.
Yeah.
He understands.
Box of joy right there.
Oh, it's such a and to let the audience know that it was massive. That's the biggest box of almost anything in my life I've ever received, and it was huge. When I saw that, I thought, it was
that's how
a
we
gift
freeze.
from heaven.
I don't freeze portions, so we had these whole pieces. So thought it would be fun. How you're on the rib list, right? That's how that's the origin story. People would get food for fun, just to make friends. That's how we started. So
I feel so fortunate to be on the rib list, and also to have a chance to talk to you guys, but to receive that too, that was a gift. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Well, okay, so those are the proteins that you guys have at all times, and are you guys selling out at a certain point?
Nobody here knows about Texas style sellout.
That's what my kind of leading to. Yes,
they're not understanding as Texas is on selling out, so we really try to make it to where we'll have at least everything within an hour of us closing. Okay. Sometimes we get hit real hard, or we got catering orders that call last minute and they got tons of food, and we're scrambling to try and do that. But that's in Louisiana. They think you can just kind of throw. Well, why don't you just throw another brisket on?
It's like a burger. It's like a burger.
Got briskets on, but they're for tomorrow.
Exactly.
They got to cook. They got to cook all night. And so they just think that you can do that, because I mean, honestly, that's not abnormal to Louisiana. Like, just cook it for a couple of hours instead of cooking it for 12, 14 hours. So some people don't understand that. And so it's our job to educate.
Yeah. And also by the pound, you're educating people about how to order by the pound.
That's all hard to do.
Oh my God.
Where you have plates?
That is
one
of the biggest
2
struggles. I mean, I don't want to budge on that. I'd rather we educate them and create a barbecue culture,
of course,
around here. And we have some friends who are opening up good Texas style barbecue restaurants north of us, and so they're helping us. We're all kind of coming together to really help define a barbecue culture here, and I think it shows. I mean, while we get a lot of complaints about, oh my gosh, I spent $50 here, and we're like, well, we'll help you learn how to order, right?
You need to order for 3 people.
If you order a half pound of everything, you're gonna. I love that. Go ahead and do that.
But that's a lot of food. Yes,
yeah. But that's gonna cost you a lot. And
and actually, looking at your prices online, to be honest, compared to what they are like in Los Angeles or in Dallas, or I think you're good. You're well priced. I think so. Yeah. But to someone that's not used to seeing this on the menu, it's expensive to them. Yeah. And if you buy a beef rib's a pound and a half, probably, right?
Yeah, they're definitely used to that price being hidden within a plate or a meal. And
it's not
that's already
portioned out. Yes,
true. Yeah, and so we actually do have some plates. We did that during the
boxes.
Yeah, we call them boxes, but we do them
I like that
during the hurricane. So because we can only do a few things that would really help us get a lot of people. I mean, we probably tripled our business right after the hurricane because we were the only ones open, and so they had tons of people coming in, and so we needed to get food out quick, and so we did a rib box and a brisket box, and we'd do sandwiches. That way they can just say, I want the rib box on the brisket box. We cut all that and get them out.
Makes sense,
and we've kind of done a progression of what we could do great. So we opened up with no to go and a couple fewer things, because we just we were introducing ourselves for the first time, so you didn't want to stumble out of the gate. So we added house-made sausage later. We added some of the sides later. We added our daily specials later. We've added the signature events. We try to do some kind of fine dining signature event a few times a year. We haven't done any of those since the COVID broke out, but what we don't want is to be so, we're used to working at the red line, but we don't want to ask all the crew to always do at the red line every day.
Yeah.
And we sure don't want us to be over the red line unnecessarily. So
makes sense.
We didn't do anything to go until the COVID broke out. When then I always wanted to do a robust to go. We're in a bedroom community area. And I said, well, that's the day. So today we're going to train all our guests to do takeout.
So change it.
3 people in the yard to take orders. So 6 more staff members every day, and we did a ton of to go after that. And we do both. But we've turned off the delivery at the moment because we just don't want you to wait in line while I cut a delivery order in front of you.
Yeah,
so
that
we're
makes
either going
sense.
to build another system, or we may build another location to do to go.
No, that's smart. I think that would make more sense.
What we don't want is you to get a diluted experience. When you come here, we want it to be the best we know how, best food we know how to cook, and happy people. So we got 100% of our crew back after the storm. We paid everybody, and because they're great. We were so grateful for them. God's blessed us with them, and we wanted to provide that and just to have an experience where hospitality is our first point of view, not an afterthought after, not the soup Nazi, I guess.
We also have a bunch, with our Texas items we also do our own beef sausage. We've got beef and jalapeno, and we literally went to one class just so that I could learn how to do sausage from John Lewis.
Go John Lewis Jr.
That's smart. He
knows his Lewis stuff. Barbecue out there.
We love 17th Street Barbecue and Mike Mills and Amy Mills. We love all those people. So we went to their barbecue business class, and
okay, that's smart.
Yeah, so we learned a lot from them. I know some other people. I think the guy from Cadillac, he went. I saw him with
Todd,
pictures and stuff. And that's how we met a lot of our friends who have barbecue places all over the country, and so we learned a lot. They do different barbecue than us, but they had some really great advice. And
their business savvy is so
I definitely tell people to take those classes when they open back up after COVID. Unfortunately, Mr. Mike
Mr. Mills
died this year, and we miss them a lot. And so we loved it so much that I think the next year, the year after, we took their whole hog class, which was really helpful for us.
Whole hog extravaganza or something. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. And now we get Mother's Day. We got a call. Somebody wants to do a whole hog, and I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And
that's build a hog pit. We're gonna have to build one.
Yeah,
I was a welder in college, so we'll go weld us a hog pit.
It sounds like, Paul, you're a Renaissance man. It sounds like.
Do everything. But now, so we learned how to do sausage, and we've really been ramping that up. That's also allowed us to make our own boudin, which is real Louisiana. We're really trying to add more Louisiana stuff because we love Texas barbecue, but we also want our own culture and our own flair.
You need to infuse that. I think that's important that you infuse that for sure.
Yeah. So now we started last week. We started doing boudin balls. Really, if you want to infuse Louisiana into barbecue, you just fry everything.
Drop it in the vat.
So we got these cheese boudin balls, and
that's hilarious.
Our first TikTok video was so now you know.
We do fried ribs. So sometimes we'll have leftover ribs, and we'll we'll batter them and fry them up, and they're delicious. It's the only way. I don't like reheated ribs. I'm not, or they're great, but they're not as good, and so we can't sell it here. So we're like, but if you fry them, they're delicious. They're so good.
Interesting.
So we do
okay.
Fridays.
You said, I think I was talking over you. Fried rib Fridays.
Yeah, fried ribs Friday. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
Now it's kind of becoming fried everything Friday. So we're frying. We take mac and cheese and we fry into little mac bites. And
that's smart. And I've actually had that before, like and it's so good because of that crust, and then you got the gooey center.
Yeah, we got that. But that's another way. Like if if we have too much mac one day, and our mac's
very expensive,
and very delicate, and so it's kind of sensitive, and so we're like, well, man, we can take it and fry it up, and they're delicious. They're great appetizers for kids.
It's fun. Yeah.
We have other Louisiana dishes, like we do red beans and rice, which I love, and corn mock shoe, which is kind of this Cajun
what is that?
Bisque. It's it's corn and cream, lots of cream. I mean, tons of cream, tons of fat. Tasso, which is smoked, semi-smoked pork. It's not all the way, but it's this kind of cured smoked pork, and it's delicious, and it adds a lot of flavor to the dish. And then we put rotel and some
and a deep Louisiana saute in the bottom.
Yeah, deep.
Is that available every day?
Seasonings every day.
Every day. Yeah. All our sides are every day.
Okay.
Yeah. So we and then we have we hired my buddy Silas. He's actually running the pits right now, and he is a culinary person. He loves cooking and doing all that. So he came up today. I think we're doing the Silas burger. So
yes,
it's called So Gouda You Be Crying or something like that. But it's a Gouda burger with we smoke our burgers. We don't grill them. And so he puts Gouda and candied jalapenos and bacon onion jam on them. It's just so good.
Bacon
so we're
onion
always
jam
trying to
is
do different
and,
things.
And Gouda's a nice cheese to use for a burger. It's unique too.
Especially like a smoky burger like that, the smoked Gouda really adds and complements to it. So for Cinco de Mayo, we're doing something we've never done. We're doing tacos. So we've got barbacoa that I just ordered. I just got some beef cheeks in, so we're going to be playing with that this week. And we're really trying to add tacos to our menu. I want to, we got a bunch of different ideas for that, but we really want, especially for summer, those things are great. And now that festivals are kind of starting to open back up, we really want some more portable,
for sure,
good. Make a gumbo food in the winter. We'll
that's true. Yeah, we make our own, and we use smoked chicken in it. We'll do smoked elements and all that. But we're really trying to fuse the two and hopefully come out with a barbecue identity for Louisiana. And
it seems like you're slowly like carving your way into exactly what, because there's still,
it feels like it.
Yeah, like you're like 85% there of what you really, but actually I'm sure that you'll continue to add things. What do you guys make? Desserts too?
Oh yeah, we do a blackberry rum sauce bread pudding.
I saw them online.
a little fluffier bread pudding. Sometimes Louisiana bread pudding can be kind of dense. Making French bread, sometimes the crust is really dark. So we went that in. The blackberries are a very Louisiana thing. I'm in love with blackberries. I love blackberries. Like I love my wife, but they're very good. And my daughter Hannah is on our team. She's our marketing leader and events leader, and she led the charge in finishing the blackberry bread pudding. It's so great. And then we do so what says Texas style barbecue with Louisiana flair more than banana pudding, right? Texas style barbecue and bananas Foster Louisiana flair. So we foster bananas and put them on top of a banana pudding, and so we call it bananas Foster pudding.
That's genius. That's so good.
We have a few other desserts that we've also done. Some of them will rotate them in and out. Some of them are kind of high production costs, so we'll pick them out when they're like, we do this brookie, a chocolate chip cookie and brownie, and you swirl and you freeze it and you cut slices. They're really pretty. They're a bit of work, so we'll roll them out when their time is right from time to time.
Is it a lineup? Do you guys line up? Do you order at the counter and then grab your plate, or is it something where you order and then the food's delivered?
No, it's all the line, right? Texas style line. We built a custom cutting board, like a 10-foot long board with our Flame of Freedom, the logo in the center, and we bought this cool glass things to try to emulate what we see in the coolest parts of Texas joints.
Okay.
And we made the queue where you line up. We put the drink trough and we put our storyboard. I think I sent you those pictures on the wall. So they have something to do. I think we have, 35 beers and a handful of mixed drinks stuff in a can. So they're real pretty to look at and fun to do. And then you watch and listen as the guys are calling out. And people are brand new, right? What's this? And half pound of this, and you start cutting. Whenever, if you're not selling the beef ribs, just pull them out, set them on the board. We have 2 cutting stations there, and it's exactly the same size as our trailer, our little cutting area. It's 8 foot by about 12, and you pull that out, and people go, "What's that?"
Of course,
the beef ribs are flying out the door, and cut. If you have time in the crush, you're not handing out samples as often, but we'll hand out samples, and people all of a sudden love turkey. If you hand them, we find people, whatever they eat the first time, that's what they eat until you make them try something else.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
it's human nature.
That's what I remember the first time I ordered at a barbecue restaurant. The first time we went, Paul just ordered a big platter and all that stuff. But the first time I did was at Franklin's, and you've got hundreds of people behind you. And this cutter, he was super nice, but he was also like, "Let's go. You got to know."
His job is yeah.
And so I was like, I didn't know what to do. I ordered way too much, which was perfectly fine for me. We brought leftovers home to Paul and some other friends and all that stuff. But I just remember that feeling, and I was like, well, we need to have it set up. We can't, it's not like in Texas where corkscrew can cut in the back and you just order right there. Because most people know what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, they can ask somebody in line. They'll tell them how to order. And but for us, you know, part of that experience is not just being, I mean, everybody loves to see the meat get cut. Everybody loves to see it all laid out in front of them and do all that stuff. But also it allows our guys to explain what's going on and how our whole system works and how to order, and just educate them on what things are. Also, I love giving out turkey, you know, just because first timers, they have no idea. And so we want to open their
turkey and the
eyes to
brisket.
how great it is.
No one here is eating a properly trimmed prime brisket, heavy black pepper forward rub, wood smoked and rendered just right. That is hard to find. And if you go to the top 50 barbecue joint, you go to Texas, Houston, the 7 joints you just mentioned, that's normal, right? It's not normal. So people get a bite of that. There's some education. You're used to that old style, we'll scrape the fat off on the board and only get so it takes a minute. And then once you get them on there, their eyes are open like, great. You know?
Yeah. But if you have some brisket and you have some turkey and you have some rib, like you have all those things they all balance each other. It's so nice to you're teaching people, you're educating along the way. And then is it the same station where you're getting, and then you get your sides at the same, like right down the line? Is that how you're doing it? Okay.
Yeah, so you start off with the cutters and you go to our girls who are doing sides, and we got all of our desserts behind us in the fridge, or you know, we have bread pudding on the line because it's got to stay hot, but it's all just presented right there in front of you.
Market style,
you can see all the
that's
the
so great.
Right there.
The gloriousness, that's right.
Yes.
So you said you're about 2 hours from Houston, right?
Yes.
But you cross the border, you have to cross the border into a different state. People could do that, right? They're allowed to do that these days?
This is America.
I know, but wasn't there a time where they're like going to shut down states and stuff? But no, so it's about 2 hours. How far are you from? Is it and do you guys pronounce it New Orleans, or am I pronouncing it correctly?
New Orleans, either
New
way.
Orleans, yeah.
It's 3 hours with no traffic to New Orleans.
And you guys are open Thursday through Sunday right now, right?
Wednesday through Saturday.
Why am I thinking? Did I see something that said Thursday through Sunday? I know Sunday. I was thinking you wouldn't be open Sunday because of church, right? Like because I'm sure. But so then it's Wednesday. Okay, so you're open Wednesday through Saturday.
That way we can go to church. I want us to go.
Yes, you should.
And we use the place for.
Are they coming to church with food? They're coming anyways.
We cook for a lot of gigs for our church. We use the place for stuff on Sunday. We'll let community groups or church groups use it. We have that's one of the other reasons. And I wanted the crew to still love it here in 5 years. Where we're not. Anyway, maybe if we build enough leaders, we'll open more, maybe. But today, this is what we're doing for sure.
So it's Wednesday, and then it's at 11. You said 11 o'clock, but people are lining. Are people lining up around 10:30 or so on the weekends? I mean, like on Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. Some people. There's always a car parked waiting at 10 o'clock. It seems like.
Yeah, they're usually they'll start lining up around 10:45, and then around 10:46 they'll be getting angry that we didn't open the doors already.
10:46, exactly. You'd always know it. 10:46.
Yeah, and so it's just but we'll, especially on Saturdays, there's we'll get some people lining up. Like yesterday, it was a crazy Wednesday. Wednesdays usually aren't super busy for us. Yesterday, I guess people were out working. It was nice and sunny outside, and really it is the weather. The weather affects a lot. I didn't think that when I was going into this, that weather, because I'd go eat somewhere whether it's rainy or not. And, but that, it's been real nice this spring, and just so many people came out yesterday, and we had a big line waiting to get in at the door. But again, this isn't Texas. They had to wait longer than 15 minutes. There's going to be some reviews online,
We do steak night on Saturday night, and that's a big draw. That was our tradition after Laura. We had ribeyes, and let's cook that because we could do it, without waiting. And so we made a tradition. And then
for lunch and dinner, we'd have a little break between this, but for lunch and dinner, like right after the hurricane, we'd have huge lines snaking through the whole restaurant. It was hard to sit down because you had people standing there. And so that was like our kind of first experience with a
big line.
Giant Texas barbecue line that you see everywhere. But normally, I mean, we're not just open. We don't run out by 2 or 3 o'clock. And so we're open for lunch and dinner. So we don't normally have a huge rush or
once in a while we run out, but of something. But we got a chart. We chart out what's the weather, to gauge.
Yeah. You plot that out. You plan it and try to figure out the best way to manage that so that you can cycle through. And are people leaving around? What time are people straggling out of there? Around 8 or 9 o'clock?
Well, if it's a nice night and there's music, there'll be people here till after close. Our other post-lore tradition for me is I'll sing the national anthem to close the night if there's a band.
Oh,
here.
You do? Okay.
And there's almost always, if the weather's nice, there's people here till 9:30. We don't mind. They can visit. We'll clean up around them, and we'll cruise out of here by 10 o'clock.
We kind of made the backyard to where, I mean, we
can
have,
leave and they can stay.
We have picnic tables. We don't have a lot of four-seaters or anything like that. We want people to have a communal kind of family experience, and so they usually have fun and hang out here. And we're like, we're gonna close. Y'all can kind of hang out in the backyard if y'all want.
Last call for the restroom. Anybody good? Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, we're just, it's we have great customers, and they love us and we love them, and so we've all. I mean, that's why we started doing barbecue, and the restaurant wasn't a way like, oh, well, we can make money at this. It was, we need, we want to do this more. And so we need, we can start a restaurant, and, that'll pay for our expansion of friend making through barbecue. And so that's
beautiful.
We have lots of regulars that we know. And I think that's one of the coolest things for the guys who work for us is their regulars will come in. And they know them. They'll see them out in town. I always wear Paul's RibShack shirts everywhere because that's I mean, I'm gonna have to go to work at some point during that day, probably. Even if we're off, like we got stuff to do. I'll go to Sam's. I'll go somewhere, and I always get stopped, and somebody like, do you work at Paul's RibShack? Yeah, and I go there all the time, and so we talk.
That's so nice.
Really form a lot of relationships and friendships. He was talking about our buddy Chris, who came and helped out during the hurricane because he had seen our barbecue place online, then saw about the hurricane, and now he's got a regular job that he works in Orange, but he wants to come and work whenever he's off. He's like, I don't like to sit around, so now we're getting him involved, and
that's so nice.
He's a great guy, and so just the community aspect, they always talk about the barbecue family, things like that. That's definitely true. I mean, somehow barbecue brings people together unlike any other food that I've ever seen or any other restaurant I've worked at. It's I think it's because people sense the care and taking 7 years to learn how to cook one type of food is a long time. They connect with the story. They see we work hard, and I think that resonates with not only Louisianans and Americans in general, but people specifically in our town. We're hardworking. We have plants. We have a lot of blue collar jobs, and I think they want to support people who work as hard as they do. I'm not saying I mean, being out in the hot sun and the plants all day is definitely different than
that's not an easy job.
Being under these nice shaded trees, but I think they like to see hard workers. I mean, I know.
Also, too, they see the big apparatus behind you. Like, it's in their mind. Like, these are things you don't have at your home. Like, you're not gonna, not necessarily. No one's gonna have a 1,000-gallon pit, and it's this magical experience, and they know, and people are starting to realize how much time it takes and how good it is, and it's sharing barbecue is special. There's something. There's something very special about and especially meeting other people when you're sitting like you guys like communal tables. You're meeting other people that are like-minded or that just want to enjoy and then you could have lifelong friends or people that you see often. I know for a fact that people will watch this and listen to this and want to visit you guys, and the fact that you wouldn't think about it, but it's 2 hours from Houston. That's not a lot of people. So many people are going to Houston for the barbecue trails and for visits and for barbecue adventures, or just to go there for business too. So you're not that far, and you're going somewhere magical where you guys have created something really special.
Thank you.
I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time, for number one, for sending the food. That was amazing. And I'm taking care of my mom, and it was so special for her too, because
good.
she's been going through all these like physical problems, but she's getting better, and
Amen.
she has faith that she will, and I have faith that she will. And that when night arrived, she was like, "Oh, Kevin, what is this?" Like, this is because sometimes like she was like, "What do you like?" Like, she knows my passion and my side bit that this is my business, but she also, when things like that arrive, she's like, "Well, people, like, it's real. This is." It puts like because the internet and all these, it's, and then also too, I can't wait to visit you guys. I cannot wait, and I want to hang out with you guys. I want to enjoy I'll probably come for multiple days because there's so many things to see, and I'd like to see your ribeye night too. You guys will probably add other nights too as the summer goes on, right? Like, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, we
like keeping it special.
It is very special. Yes, it is.
Yeah, we like change things up. The funnest part about the barbecue for us was learning how to do it, learning new things, and being able to do that. So we're, for the past couple of years, it's been really all producing, and then recently we've gotten back into testing and doing things. And so I know we have probably plans on the book to do some whole animal smokes, especially Louisiana stuff. But
alligator.
Yeah, smoked alligator would be cool. I know I've seen that's a thing in it's a place in California. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I saw videos of that.
Yeah, it was we're Moose Craft Barbecue at Smorgasburg, where they used to have, there was a guy that would do alligator every so often. Yeah.
Well, I was like, man, we're in Louisiana. Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah,
we have tons of alligators.
Uh-huh.
So we're thinking, just thinking through some of those things and trying to just keep things interesting. And I mean, Texas barbecue in Louisiana is already interesting enough for some of our people, but we kind of want to push that. How Louisiana can we get with this? And
but still have that Central Texas style barbecue.
Yeah.
And it's I can't thank you guys enough. We've people's attention. We're talking for about an hour and 20 something minutes, and it doesn't seem like, I didn't realize it was even 8:30 on my time. Thank you guys, because this was splendid. You guys are great souls, and you're passionate about what you do. And Paul, you've been you've given me so much information about you visually that I appreciate too, that really helps kind of round out the whole story. And I'll have something at the beginning of this YouTube, so if you're listening to this on the podcast, jump to the YouTube side so you can see that, and then I'll also make something companion that'll kind of detail your story, because it's important that people know where you're from. And now people hopefully have felt like they've met you too, and now when they come visit, they're your friends, or they think they're your friends, and they'll become you guys welcome them with open arms. It sounds like a great place to visit. And if you're in the area, and you don't know about it, and somehow you don't know about Paul's Rib Shack, I'm sure people will come visit, because it sounds like you've created a nice little destination, a little oasis.
Well, thank you. And thank you for how you're supporting our trade. It's a joy to listen to your stories and all the people you host. And so thank you for the hard work.
Thank you. I love it. And I can't wait I've been kind of sequestered, so I can't wait to run free and then finally see these, other than see people at a small screen. I like to see them in real life. I like people too. So thank you guys so much. Have a great week. Have a good rest of your week, and stay safe. And I'll have this done probably about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit less. And I'll send you both the YouTube and the podcast side, so the links for those. But thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Awesome. And I'll hopefully see you very soon. Hope you see the summer. Right, yeah. Be a nice, hot, sweaty day, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Life is more fun on the rib list.
I'm on the rib list. Thank you so much. All right, take care, guys.